All right, and welcome back for the episode of This Week in Charts via Carnivore Trades and Wall Street from Main Street. If you've done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find Jason on Patreon. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. Anyways, let's get into it this week here. So, markets finishing higher, but the big story, obviously, as I'm sure everybody's heard, was Jerome Powell has now decided to adjust policy. And this was kind of telegraphed a little bit in the beginning of the week. So some insiders, Wall Street insiders, Wall Street Journal, and it was indicated also at the Fed minutes on Wednesday that most participants were in favor of cutting in September. So the market got kind of tipped off, and that's what the Fed typically does. They will tip off the market like on purpose and make you kind of read between the lines to kind of prepare for those events. That said, with this sell, obviously the historic sell, I think 11%, I think it was in 2 weeks on the triple Qs. You can see what a move that was. We've had this incredible melt up since then. And we've essentially just erased, it's like it didn't happen, at least on the S&P. You can actually see, believe it or not, equal weight S&P, which was, very heavily criticized for not keeping up, is actually at new all-time highs. And we have the Dow just off new all-time highs as well. So essentially we've erased that with the exception of some technology. But it's clear that somebody, sniffed this out. Or, I don't know if this was leaked. I'm sure there's some people who have access to things we don't. And that definitely explains the velocity of this move. I mean, you're talking about here August 5th, every single day, the low of the day was higher than the previous day's low. I mean, that is unheard of for 13 days straight. Before we finally got a dip yesterday, and then obviously a little outside move here today. You can see on the intraday, gapped higher, a lot of whipsaw, a lot of trapping type stuff after the Jackson Hole press release. But overall, market is just beneath all-time highs, and you have a double top right here at 5670. I have another level that I've calculated at, we'll just call it 5,700. And that's where I think the market wants to go here. In the meantime, I think that's probably, going into next week, we're going to be in Labor Day weekend. The volume is really going to drop off. We're going to be in the summer doldrums, dog days of summer. A lot of the big institutions, they are going to be on vacation, the bigger players, probably by Wednesday. And we do have NVIDIA earnings Wednesday afternoon. If I'm not mistaken, let me double check that date. Yep, it's Wednesday afternoon, the 28th. So that might be the last thing that they even do there. But at this point, I think that the market probably wants to go up and test that area. Volume and participation is going to be light. I think our best chance for a pullback is going to be kind of in early September after Labor Day. As the volume starts to come back in, seasonally, generally kind of a weak period as well. But this last week here of August is, seasonally pretty strong, especially in an election year. But right now, markets, again, acting well. We're consolidating beneath resistance here, and usually that means they do want to go higher. One thing I will just draw to your attention here, and this doesn't have to play out right away, but sentiment in the short term, getting a little stretched. Bulls way up there. So 51% on AAII, that's very high. I start looking for a pullback at anything above 50, and we shot up there pretty fast this week. And bears dropped, so starting to get a little stretched. That doesn't mean we can't go up, and I still expect that number to get hit. It doesn't mean we can't go up another 1 or 2%, but again, with the volume light, generally you're going to give the market the upside bias anyway. But just be aware that that is getting a little stretched here in the short term. So generally you look for some weakness or some type of reversal. In fact, the last time we were at above 50 was right in this area here, near the previous high. That does not mean that we're going to have another historic sell. It just means that you got to be aware of those conditions that you're in. So markets here again, beneath the double top level, but overall holding up into the end of the week. We talked about the Qs here, and the same thing, although Qs are still farther off the highs. What has done well, specifically the last couple of days, but even today, has been the Russell 2000. And again, so rate cuts, again, obviously going to help out the smaller companies. They're also going to help out regional banks and KRE here, the regional bank ETF. There's a outsized amount of regional banks in the IWM weighting, and essentially that does make the IWM move a lot faster. So rate cuts helping out those smaller banks helps out the IWM. Right now, the monthly candle on the IWM looks pretty good. So we just have a big outside move, breakout move, and it looked like a reversal or a fake breakout. But now we're coming to the last days of the month here. We just got a hammer candle, so good retest there. So small caps holding up and continuing to build here. So those are the big winners right now. We talked about the Dow a little bit. This is basically just off all-time highs. So Dow still rallying here. Semiconductors, again, with a green week, but not by much. So you're going to need NVIDIA to step up, which they probably will. But overall, no problems with the pattern there. IGV was strong this week as well. And I continue to like this. I think this is going to make significant new highs. Perhaps not right away, but I do like this pattern very much on the monthly time frame. So I do like cloud stocks. I think, yeah, a lot, even more than I would like semis. Anyway, Dow Transports here up 1.6 today, and a good week. So again, this is why it's so difficult. A lot of people talking about recession and this and that, and that may happen, but if everybody's in the same trade, everybody's short the transports, thinking that we're gonna have a slowdown, you can get these moves. And I see a lot of things like that right now. Even oil was up today with Jerome Powell announcing rate cuts. Copper was up today with Jerome Powell announcing rate cuts. So these correlations don't always have to work. They will in the end, but they don't always have to work in the near term. They can blow a lot of people out. But either way, transport's up, and again, not far off of the highs here. Interest rates obviously coming down. So 2-year yields continuing to roll over. This can go lower. I personally, though, I think that in the short term, maybe not so much the 2s, but 10s and 30s really, I think we could get a counter trend move here. And the reason for that is I think that I know that the rate cuts were telegraphed. Nobody did not expect Jerome Powell to say what he said today. And yields were down today. But you may get a little bit of a reflex here. I think that personally, I think it was priced in. So we'll see if the long end can rally up a little bit. Maybe even could squeeze, back to like 4.4 on 30, 4.2 on the 10s. I know it seems crazy, but it's doable if you get a crowded enough trade. But again, rates are trying to hold up here on the long end, and I think they mostly will. The 2-year could be a little more vulnerable. By the way, just so everybody's aware, Fed funds effective rate is 5.33. I've had that up there for a long time. And so we're, over 100 basis points away from that. And the Fed will cut 25 when they do. So effective Fed funds will probably be like, 5.10 or something like that. Where it gets problematic is if the market starts to worry if the Fed is now too far behind the curve. But that's down the line if that happens. Home builders here up 4.5% today. Again, very close to the all-time highs. So again, we got above that red bar that I was telling you guys about last week, and we closed above it on Monday. Yep, on Monday. And ever since then, been a big move up. And we talked about this. Said there was never any damage on the weekly. And that has continued to hold up. VNQ breaking out here. Again, new highs. Or at least multi-year highs. So again, I've been talking about this the last couple of weeks. Notice how it did not sell off. It had sold off for one day when we had that big slice a few weeks ago. And it's firmed up ever since. So buyers have been stepping into this thing. XLF also being stepped into as well. New all-time high, new all-time weekly closing high. So financials are still holding up fine. KRE, obviously, we just mentioned. KBE, same thing. And broker dealers, again, new all-time highs there as well. So financials acting fine. Oil here again, and here's the other side. So rate cuts, should be the economy slowing down, but oil up to the last 2 days actually. So it finished basically, it was only down like a little bit on the week. So down like what, $1 on the week. That's basically nothing. So I have no bias right now in oil at the moment. This chart is very neutral. So I wish I could give you more, but I could say you got higher lows here, but you also have lower highs. The one thing I am watching is on the weekly, there's a big wedge here, and this will come to a point where it will break. But right now it's just in a range. I do, however, like energy stocks, and the good ones don't need oil to go up to move higher. XLE continued to build off of last week. Now it was basically flat for the week, but I like how it recovered from this shakeout candle, and it now has a possible for a higher low here, and the same thing with XOP. So we had a shakeout candle on Tuesday, and it's right back up. That's a good sign. I think OIH is also very cheap down here too. So I like the energy stocks in this area, and again, very hated. And I think there's a lot of upside here in the medium to long term, maybe even in the short term too. CCJ, congrats to Bulls here. So I was a little kind of soft on it, especially after yesterday. We had an outside candle. We rejected. I told you guys $42, and it rejected there. But we got above today. So we just negated that sell bar, just gapped above it. So that's a good sign when you can do that. And you can see the URNM also had a strong close on the week as well. So uranium, that's a good sign. I mean, it's still got a lot of work to do. It's still way off the highs, but that is a good sign that means that the lows might be in. So good stuff there. Nat gas was sideways until yesterday. It came in. It does have the chance for a higher low here though, and I'm still in that camp right now. I think that is bottomed for the season. Maybe it could go down. Maybe it could pierce double bottom and pierce $2 again. It's not saying it can't happen, but I don't foresee it really dropping too much. I think typically it's kind of bottoming right around where it normally does, and it tends to rally into November around this time of the year. But it did back off yesterday. Dollar got destroyed. So I think right now the dollar might actually be at least for a quick play, maybe a contrarian long here. Again, kind of like yields, I think that this is just a little overdone in the short term. We knew what Powell was going to say. We knew they were going to cut rates. They telegraphed it. And so dollar is being sold off anyway. It's as if the market, to me, it seems like kind of obvious. And usually when you already sell off into those events, it's kind of a sell the rumor, buy the news type deal. But we are into a double bottom anyway. So a 52-week low. There's also another level just below at 99.50, and then you have the weekly 200. So there's like 3 good levels right in this area here on the DXY. And I'm not saying that this is going to reverse and go mooning higher, but I think in the short term this should be looking for a bounce here. Dollar yen obviously down, and markets are still up. So no issues there. Maybe for Japan, but they've tightened spreads up, and they've gotten, if I can find it, there we go. They did add net liquidity here. So they're working. They're doing their thing. All right, gold here up 1 1/4. New all-time high. Well, essentially. No problems. Again, I think obviously if the dollar bounces, that could cause gold to pull back. I don't think it's much more than a pullback though, and I think if it does, you should be buying dips in this. The same goes for silver. I'm actually in silver right now, and nicely in the money. It's got to get through 30. I don't think it's ready yet. It might need a little bit more work, but it is looking pretty good. I did pick up. Why not? Full disclosure here. I did pick up some more Sprots today. And I like the pattern now on Palladium, or excuse me, on that too. But I like Platinum here. I like the sell bar, the recovery, and now we're bull flagging beneath it. And I think these could be longer term plays. I like Palladium firming up too. I like what it did on the monthly, where, I mean, this level is just monstrous. But I like how we spiked the low, made a new low, and then we're going to close green for the month. I always like that. This is going to be, I think at some point, when you have sectors that are running, like for instance, like let's say like solar stocks, right? The big ones, First Solar and Array or something like that will run. And then, if they're in a bull market and they stay in a bull market, what happens? Everybody looks for the small company, the juniors, the smaller ones, right? I'm just using solar as an example, right? This, I think, is going to be the catch-up play to gold. I mean, that is, to me, it's just, I don't see much downside. And if it goes half of where it went before, you're talking about, a 2x there, easy. So more of a long-term play, but I do like the levels down here. Copper, my copper is also doing well. It went sideways this week, but it's trying to consolidate the up move. And again, it's up with talk of rate cuts. This could roll over. I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, I already got most of my, I just have a baby runner position at this point on it. But, if it breaks up, 425, 430, 440 are the next levels. But it did act well this week. And from what I can see on the COTs, banks are buying and hedge funds and retail are selling. So I was like that too. All right. Bitcoin is possibly on breakout right now as we speak. So this really took off today, and it was actually just in the last couple of hours. You can see here at about 1:30 in the afternoon, we just powered up here. We'll see. It's got to get through this area. So right around 63.5 to 64. You see the channel there. This is a fat base that's been building for months, and I think it's getting ready. So I really like Bitcoin here. I've been waiting for it to kind of make its move, and this might be it. If it's not, I don't think it's going to take much longer. This weekly pattern is very strong. I mean, very strong. And you've got it there on the monthly as well. I mention this every single week to you guys too. Bitcoin's fine, Bitcoin's fine, Bitcoin's fine. Everybody was panicking when we made those lows. It's fine. Next month, that 20 MA is going to start creeping up again, and that's going to be at the end of next week. So when that catches up to price, it acts as fuel. Very good example of it would be recently on gold. On the weekly, see how we just get overbought, and then we go sideways, and the 20 MA catches up, and look at us now. So that's what I think this is setting up to do. The chart looks very similar. It just looks like it's lagging gold. So it's like gold, but in slower motion. But I think cryptos look good. I think Solana looks good too. This is a big base here, and ETH is a little bit weaker, but it did firm up a little bit today. But I think crypto is getting interesting. So, all right. Anyways, so again, market's holding up here. Again, probably going to get some light volume this week. So I would just assume neutral to upside. Again, I do have a target here of, again, we'll just call it 5,700. It's not, it's like 1.5% away. So it's not really like it's that much higher. And then we kind of go into September where you can get some chop, you can get some grind. But I do think the market wants to go up and test that level before doing anything else in the meantime. So anyways, guys, going to wrap it up here. Again, you guys take care. Come find Jason on Patreon. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com, and I'll talk to you guys all next week.